Why do some saints renounce clothing? Across spiritual traditions, the image of a naked ascetic often evokes shock, awe, or deep reverence. But what does nudity truly represent in the path of devotion? In Hinduism, Jainism, and even Sufi mysticism, nakedness is not about sensuality. It is about surrender, renunciation, and absolute oneness with the divine. Saints like Akka Mahadevi, Lalleshwari, Lala, and Digambara monks discarded clothing not as an act of rebellion, but as a symbol of transcending the material world. This video explores why some mystics renounced clothing in devotion to God, the spiritual and symbolic meaning behind nakedness, how nudity is perceived in different spiritual traditions. Akka Mahadevi, the naked bride of Shiva. Akka Mahadevi was a 12th century Bhakti saint from Karnataka, deeply devoted to Lord Shiva. She was known for her radical renunciation, walking through forests, unclothed, covered only by her long hair. Her devotion to Lord Shiva was so fierce that it consumed every part of her life. Born into a society that expected women to marry, serve their husbands, and remain within strict boundaries, Akka chose another path. To her, Shiva was not just a deity, he was her only true beloved. She called him Chenna Mallikarjuna, the beautiful Lord, and saw herself as his bride. Her renunciation was radical. She abandoned all comforts, all possessions, even her clothing. Covered only by her long hair, she wandered the forests, singing ecstatic poetry in praise of her Lord. For her, clothes were not protection but chains, symbols of worldly ties she had already burned away. In her own words, she declared, "I have given up both the pleasures of the body and the shame of the body, for I have found the Lord of my soul." To Akka, nudity was not exposure, it was freedom. It was a statement that before Shiva there is no veil, no mask, no modesty, only pure union. Her choice shocked many, yet her spiritual power silenced even her critics. People came to see her not as a madwoman, but as a mystic who had gone beyond society's dualities of shame and pride, body and soul. Through her life, Akka Mahadevi embodied the truth that renunciation isn't about rejecting the world. It's about dissolving the self into the divine. Lalleshwari, the mystic of Kashmir. Lalleshwari, also known as Lala or Lal Ded, was a 14th century mystic poet from Kashmir. Like Akka Mahadevi, she defied the conventions of her time and lived a life of radical devotion. Born into a family where women were expected to remain silent and submissive, Lala's spirit was uncontainable. Trapped in an unhappy marriage, she turned inward, seeking truth beyond the roles society had imposed on her. Her heart longed for direct union with the divine, not through rituals or dogmas, but through experience. In her intense spiritual awakening, she abandoned her home, her possessions, and even her clothing. Naked, she walked through the streets of Kashmir, reciting verses that flowed straight from her realization. People were shocked, but her words carried such power that they pierced through disbelief and touched the deepest longing in those who heard her. One of her famous Vox, her mystical poems, captures this surrender. "I searched for myself until I grew weary, but no one I know now reaches the hidden knowledge by means of effort. Then absorbed in that, I found the place of wine. There all the jars are filled, but no one is left to drink." For Lala, nakedness was not shame, it was truth. It symbolized stripping away all identities, wife, daughter, woman, even the body itself. By removing her clothes, she was declaring, "I am not this form. I am the formless essence." Her life became a bridge between traditions. Revered by both Hindus and Muslims, Lala's poetry carried the fragrance of Bhakti and Sufi mysticism alike. She showed that the divine cannot be confined to temples, mosques, or rituals. It is found in the nakedness of the soul, beyond all coverings. Lalleshwari's journey reminds us that true spirituality is not about hiding behind masks or garments of respectability. It is about uncovering the raw truth of who we are in the eyes of the divine. The Digambara monks, sky-clad seekers of Jainism. In Jainism, nudity is not a metaphor. It is a discipline. The Digambara tradition, whose name literally means sky-clad, believes that true renunciation means giving up everything, even clothes. For these monks, clothing is still a possession, a tie to the material world. To be unclothed is to declare absolute detachment. No belongings, no desires, no attachments. They walk barefoot, own nothing, and live only on alms freely given. Even food is accepted with strict rules. They never ask. They only receive what is offered without request. The life of a Digambara monk is a radical path of self-purification. Nudity here is not about poetry or rebellion. It is about discipline. By giving up clothes, they give up the last symbol of ownership and ego. Their renunciation teaches that liberation, or moksha, comes not by comfort, but by stripping away every layer of attachment. The Digambaras believe that Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankara and great Jain teacher, walked this path himself, renouncing everything until he stood unclothed, free of worldly ties. Unlike Akka Mahadevi or Lalleshwari, whose nakedness carried a mystical, devotional flavor, the Digambara monks embody a more austere vision. The soul must be completely unburdened to rise beyond rebirth. This practice often shocks outsiders, but within Jain philosophy, it is seen as the highest form of renunciation, a life stripped down to nothing but awareness and the quest for liberation. The Sufi fakirs, stripping the soul bare. In the Sufi tradition, the path to God is not about wealth, position, or pride. It is about annihilating the ego. Many Sufi fakirs and dervishes express this surrender by rejecting normal clothing, instead wearing only rags, patched garments, or sometimes walking unclothed to show their poverty before the divine. For them, the body itself was not a source of shame, but of illusion. Covering it in silks and ornaments only fed the ego. By stripping away external appearances, they sought to reveal the naked truth of the soul, humble, surrendered, and yearning for God. One Sufi saint said, "When I wore fine robes, I thought I was someone. When I tore them away, I found nothing remained, only God." Sufi mystics often wandered as beggars, barefoot and ragged, living on alms and songs of love for the beloved. Their nakedness was not always physical. It was symbolic of vulnerability and openness, to stand before God without titles, possessions, or masks. In some cases, fakirs did renounce clothing altogether, shocking society just like the Hindu and Jain ascetics. But for Sufis, the deeper nakedness was of the heart, exposing every desire, every weakness, every illusion to the burning light of divine love. Their teaching was clear. To approach the beloved, you must come stripped of all pretenses. Only the soul, bare and trembling in its longing, can merge with God. Naga Sadhus, fearless ascetics of the Kumbh. In India, the Naga Sadhus are perhaps the most famous naked ascetics. They roam freely during festivals like the Kumbh Mela, stripped of all clothing, their bodies smeared with ash, adorned only with rudraksha beads. To the uninitiated, they may seem extreme, even shocking, but to them, nudity is a badge of spiritual fearlessness. For the Naga Sadhus, clothing is an attachment, a symbol of ego and identity. By shedding it, they declare, "I belong to no one. I own nothing. I fear nothing." Their nakedness is a form of discipline, a way to conquer shame, desire, and attachment, while cultivating complete detachment and self-mastery. These ascetics train their bodies and minds through rigorous austerities, fasting, meditation, exposure to the elements, while walking unclothed among the crowds. Their bodies, painted in sacred ash, become a canvas of renunciation, a living symbol of the soul freed from worldly bondage. In essence, the Naga Sadhus show that nudity and spirituality is never about the body. It's about courage, renunciation, and total surrender to the divine. To see them is to witness devotion stripped to its rawest, most powerful form. Conclusion: the hidden truth of nakedness in spirituality. Across time and traditions, we see a striking truth. Mystics have renounced clothing not out of rebellion, not for shock, and certainly not for sensuality. Their nakedness is a mirror of the soul, a symbol of surrender, freedom, and oneness with the divine. Akka Mahadevi walked unclothed through forests, declaring her devotion to Shiva. Lalleshwari revealed the naked truth of the soul through her poetry. Digambara monks shed every possession to seek liberation. Sufi fakirs stripped away the ego to stand humbly before God. And the Naga Sadhus showed the courage to live completely free, beyond shame and fear. What unites them all is the same message. True spirituality is not about hiding, covering, or conforming. It is about uncovering the self, letting go of attachments, and daring to stand bare before the divine. If you've been fascinated by these stories and want to explore more hidden truths of mystics, saints, and spiritual seekers from around the world, subscribe to our channel. With each videos, we dive deeper into the mysteries of devotion, renunciation, and awakening, because the journey of the soul is too vast to explore alone. And here's a question for you. Which of these mystics' path of naked devotion do you find the most inspiring, and why? Comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.